Yeah, I'm leaning back. Like,
Yeah.
there you go.
All right, what's up, guys? Blue Chip Sports Prep with Coach Kelly and Coach Z. Like we do every single week, we come at you with some tips and tricks in regards to the recruiting process for you young student athletes. And in addition, hopefully you parents that are involved in the process. And so we're super excited today, and we have a real good topic that I think we've overlooked already. If we haven't, let's go over it again, because listen, you can't get enough of it and all this recruiting and all the information. So let's go over it again if we haven't went over it. If we haven't, however I said it. But anyway, always like to get it started off. Coach Kelly, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm great. I'm just back from vacation. I was on vacation a little bit last week in Las Vegas. One of the few places that's warmer than Dallas right now. It's like 110 in Vegas. So got a chance to enjoy myself there a little bit. Vacation, met up with some friends. So I'm ready to kind of get back into it, ready to talk recruiting, ready to get started, because this season and this school year is getting ready to start for a lot of student athletes. So definitely excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we want to talk about a little bit today, we won't make it super long, keep it short and sweet. We want to talk a little bit about, I had a situation, I believe it was yesterday. I had a young student athlete come to me and ask me about still playing. So as we're recording this is August 7th. So we are deep into the summer. And for a lot of you guys, your only choice is to go JC. Right now, a lot of junior colleges, especially out here in California, do and will have opportunities still available, whether it is just coming in, trying out, trying to get on the team, or getting an opportunity just right out of the bat where a school is not fully full, I guess, as far as the roster is concerned. And the young student athlete come up to me and started talking to me. It was via text, and he was asking me about the ins and outs, what he should do and who he should talk to. And first things first. So when you're getting involved in the text message or phone calls, this aspect. So coaches a lot of times will not call you right away. Phone call with the voice, all that. It's not the kind of the go-to. They will go to text. It's simple. It's straight to the point. Young student athletes need to make sure that the response is always short and sweet, but it needs to be good. It needs to be very respectful. What I told him, as I gave him one of the local coaches, the coach's information so he could text him, I said, listen, unlike when we talked about with emails and that kind of thing, you still want to keep emails short, but it's a different platform. So it's, coaches are going to look at it differently. You still want to stay under that same framework of keeping it short and sweet. Just make sure you introduce yourself, give him a couple pieces of information about you that's going to woo him a little bit. This student athlete was a quarterback, so you want to make sure and put you're a quarterback, your height and weight, especially if you're a tall kid. I mean, you want to make sure that you are 6'3", which he was. You put that right off the bat. Make sure that you also have your contact information. Of course, they're going to have it, and you're texting back and forth. Your email, and then talk about your interest in the program and how you can benefit the program. And coach, hope to hear back from you as soon as possible. Keep it as simple as possible. And more than likely that coach is going to get back to you, whether it's text or call. But you want to keep it simple on these text messages, because that's really what a text is. I've had kids message me before, Coach Kelly. Oh my gosh. It's like 3 texts, and it's like 2 or 3 pages long. And I really don't have all the interest in that. It's just all this accolades and all your achievements and everything like that. At that point in time, all that stuff, unless a roster is completely full, and if that's the case, then a coach will actually tell you, hey, maybe go somewhere else just because we're locked in. But this is JUCO. I mean, they're always flipping and flopping and putting guys here, putting guys there. And so anyway, so the last thing I'll say with it is keep it short and sweet. Make sure you have personal information on there. If you do want to put an achievement, that's fine, but 1, maybe 2, and then your interest, and hope to hear from you soon. Boom, click. That's it.
Right. And absolutely. And I would say, just for all student athletes, just real quickly, 2 things you always need to have if you're interested in being recruiting. And I think I mentioned this before: film and transcript. Film and transcript. Need to have those 2 things. So, for example, when a coach initially reaches out, like Coach Z said, you need to have your text messages short and sweet, just kind of going over text message etiquette, things to say, things not to say. It shouldn't be a paragraph or multiple pages or a text message that covers the whole screen or anything like that. A coach will usually reach out to you and say, hey, hey, Johnny, we're, had heard about you or heard about you through this camp, or some people told us about you, heard you're a 2025 linebacker, and we're interested in you. And so, what should you say if you get an email from a coach or a text message from a coach? What should you say? Well, the first thing you want to always say is, hey, coach, really excited to hear from you. All right, because you want coaches to know that you have interest in their school. Now, if you don't have interest in a school, if it's a school you're not going to go to, then it's okay to say, hey, coach, I'm really looking to go maybe into engineering. Your school really doesn't have engineering, so your school may not be a good fit for what I'm looking for. Thank you for the interest. So make sure if you're not interested in a school, that's the first thing. Let's go over that. How to politely tell a coach, hey, you're not interested. Just tell them, hey, coach, I have interest from these other schools that I think may be a better fit for me. So I'm really not necessarily interested in your school. However, thanks for your interest, because you never know where that coach will be. So the first thing with this is don't ever burn any bridges. Make sure that you're polite. Make sure you're respectful of whatever coach it is that's reaching out to you. So that's the way to kind of, if you're not interested, how to tell a coach you're not interested. But if you are interested, then, hey, you want to always sound excited. You want to say, hey, coach, thanks for reaching out. I think I could be a good fit for you. I really look forward to staying in contact with you. And at that point, you may want to just send the coach a copy of your film, or they'll probably ask for your film. And maybe you want to send them a copy of your transcript. So that's kind of what the first initial text message interaction will look like with the coach. And then kind of after that, coaches are just going to kind of ask you questions like, hey, who do you guys play this year? Who's going to be your toughest opponents? Things like that. Make sure when you're talking to coaches that you always kind of have a team attitude about it. Don't always say, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this. I is not a good word in sports. All right. I is not a good word unless you're in track or tennis or golf. You know what I mean? But when you're in football, basketball, team sports, you always want to say, hey, we open up versus this school. I expect us to have a good season this year. So make sure that you keep your pronouns plural and not singular is one very, very important aspect of the communication process. And coach, I'll let you go from there, and I may have some other things to add later. But
no, yeah, that's good. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was just coming from the angle of last second, right? So last second, just getting that initial contact with the coach. Yes, you definitely want to add a link to your highlight. Coaches, they're only looking to bring on, even if it's junior college, just a few more guys. So I don't think, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think that coaches are going to be super picky. Coaches will tell you, okay, so you're a quarterback, you're late in the game. Are you in shape? What's your, what school did you come from? They'll ask you follow-up questions. But you can always throw your link to your huddle in there and they'll check it out. Coaches love watching film. And I've mentioned this in one of my talks recently that coaches will watch film. They'll watch them at a baby shower. If they're getting ready to walk down the aisle before they even open the door, they're watching film. You know what I mean? They're watching film at funerals or, So yeah, you can always send your film and then go from there, but coaches will always get back to you and they'll always let you know if they need another quarterback or however it is. Junior college, they're always needing bodies. So they're never, in a situation necessarily where they're going to say, no, get out of here. I mean, there's going to be a few, but those are outliers. But the last thing I would just say is if it's an initial contact and you're a junior or you're a senior and you have a little bit of time and space, whether it's in the spring or early summer, you can add the links and things like that into the text messages and take a little bit of time with it. But if you're late in the game, you just want to get something to that coach and make him interested, and then just start that dialogue as soon as possible. So.
All right, absolutely. And another thing too is making sure that you let coaches know that, hey, you're interested in their institution, and making sure that there's some constant communication. I think, once every 2 weeks or so. So if a coach reaches out to you, say they're interested, then it's okay to reach out to that coach, 2 weeks later and say, hey, coach, just want to let you know, hey, I'm still really interested in your institution. Hey, we're starting practice next week. We're looking forward to our first week versus whatever the case is. And then it's okay to give coaches updates every couple of weeks. Like, hey, coach, we just had a big win versus, Valley High School. I rushed for, 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. Really looking forward to our game next week. And then another important thing to do that really impresses coaches when you're talking to them, whether it's on the phone or in email or text messages, bring up things about their program. If they had a big win versus a team, say, for example, just say you're USC, for example, if USC reaches out, it's okay to say, hey, coach, great win last week versus UCLA, or great win last week versus, Michigan or Ohio State now that they're going to be in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? So it's okay to do research and mention things about that coach's team and maybe some things that they've done, because that let coaches know that you're interested, because it's a mutual thing with this recruitment situation. They have to have interest in you, but then you also have to have interest in the school as well. So they want to know, coaches want to know that you're doing your research and that you've looked them up and that type of stuff. Just like you want to know that the coaches have looked you up and that the coaches are interested in you and that the coaches have done their research on you. So it kind of goes both ways from one standpoint. So make sure that when coaches reach out, make sure you're knowledgeable about that school, so that next time they reach out to you, you can say, hey, coach, I see you guys are off to a great start, 3-0. Hey, I'd love to be a part of a winning environment like that. Things like that. So just kind of make sure you always have an upbeat, positive attitude, and make sure that you're showing interest to the school just as if they're showing interest to you.
Yeah, and the last thing I would just say is it's somewhat easy getting through the door, but then all of a sudden you get through that door and you're on roster or you're going through camp or anything like that. Then the coaches will find out more about you and what you truly can do. So you want to make sure, especially if it's late in the game right now, as we are, like I said, August 7th, you want to make sure that you're in shape, because I promise you, if you're going to catfish these guys and you come rolling in and you're not in good shape, I mean, they're gonna send you out the door almost immediately, especially if it's a really good junior college and you're wasting their time. Just be in shape. Coach, you talked about this in the past, but it's like, if you really are dedicated and want to do this, don't just be unprepared going into it, because coaches will respond, especially junior college coaches will respond this late in the game. But if you show up and you're not in shape, you're wasting everybody's time. So you want to make sure that you're good to go, at this point in time. So that's the last thing I got for that.
Well, absolutely. And that's, like I said, that's a great point. That's something I always bring up. Yeah. If you are a student athlete and you're looking to play in college and you played in high school, unless you suffered an injury, there's absolutely no excuse for you to ever be out of shape. No excuse for you to be out of shape, because if you're out of shape, what you're showing the coaches, that you're not a serious athlete. That's what you're showing them. Because that means if you're out of shape, what does that mean? That means you haven't been working out. That means you haven't been doing physical conditioning. That means you haven't been lifting weights. That means you haven't been working on your craft. That means you haven't been working on your skills, which shows me that you're not interested in being a college athlete. And so, yes, absolutely being in shape, being prepared. And as we talk about, the things we said as far as your text message etiquette, a lot of that, and pretty much all of that, is very similar with your phone conversation etiquette. So when you do actually get on the phone and have a conversation with the coach, the same things apply. The attitude, the things you should say, the comments you should make, all of those things are pretty much the same with your text message and your phone conversation. So just keep that in mind as you go through the recruiting process, whether you're late in the process or whether you're early in the process. A lot of the behavior needs to be the same.
Love it. Listen, like we do every single week, we're coming at you with tips and tricks. Listen, this is something, and a lot of kids overlook it. It's really important. And whether it's between you and maybe another recruit, it's early in the game, whatever, it can make or break the difference in whether or not a coach actually will recruit you or bring you in as a walk-on. Or I guess next year there are no walk-ons, but I guess this would be the last year for that. But you always want to make good first impressions, and text message via or call is always a really good first impression. And so those are just a couple ways that coaches recruit you. And we wanted to make sure and kind of lay out the design of how that typically should be. And it's simple. It's simple. Kids overlook it, think too much about it, and just follow our tips. We got you guys. So listen, go out and find Coach Kelly. Do me a favor and say it again. What's your website is?
Kelly. Kelly College Consulting TX.com. That's my website. So check it out. A lot of great information. It'll have a lot of my upcoming presentations, things like that. We're just kind of getting started for the new year. So for the new school year. So really looking forward to it.
Awesome. And then, like I said, I always say this, go check out Walk On Warrior on YouTube. Make sure and subscribe, hit the bell. Got a lot of good stuff that are constantly coming out. Got some really good guests that are coming on soon. Going to be dropping one today with a current college coach. And we go over pretty much everything that you're going to need in regards to the recruiting process, as he is a current coach now. So, and then I got an interview a little bit later with a former Alabama Crimson Tide. So we're dropping it like it's hot, man, and getting after it every single day, every single week, nothing but good stuff. And also, if you're in the area, keep an eye out for Coach Kelly, because he may be coming to your high school, and you'll have some one-on-one time with him. So also, I'm going to be dropping the walkonwarrior.com. So my website is going to be dropping here soon. We'll be doing individual sessions, free consultations, or strategy session, we call it. And got a good course going through it, and all the good stuff. So listen, we always finish our podcast like this. Listen, it's not about me or Coach Kelly. It's about you guys. We'll see you guys next week.